Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Angela Shurina. I'm your host, I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to bring to you all the best, recent, cutting edge, most interesting, useful, and impactful brain body tools so you could take better control of your brain, of your body, of your mindset, your psychology, your emotions, to make better decisions, take better actions, and create the life that you absolutely love living. Folks, today we're gonna cover one of my favorite topics ever, this connection between your lifestyle and how your mind works, how your brain works, and then what you think and what you feel, and ultimately, again, how you make decisions and what actions you take. And that will ultimately shape your life. And till this day, in our society, among people, it is not that common to talk about and realize that connection of, for example, what you put on your plate and what kind of thoughts and emotions then you have throughout the day. And obviously, depending on what thoughts you have in your head, what emotions you experience, you're gonna take different actions. You're gonna create a different experience in your day. You're going to show up differently for your work and people around you. So it's very profound, and not just nutrition, but the whole lifestyle. So today we're going to talk about lifestyle choices, lifestyle routines, lifestyle habits, and some of them are nutrition habits that have a profound effect on your brain and your mindset states, your emotional states. And when done consistently, they shape your personality, they shape your character, they define the trajectory of your life's journey. So don't underestimate, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a change maker, don't underestimate what you actually do in regards to your lifestyle and your nutrition, your meals. So don't underestimate it and invest into it properly and with care, with attention, because that again has a profound impact on how you show up for the world, what you're going to do, and what kind of life experience you're going to create. So foundational lifestyle and nutrition choices, that's what we're going to talk about. And for this podcast, I might as well have given it a subtitle, Dopamine Optimization. Dopamine, this molecule, this neurotransmitter or messenger molecule in our brain that neurons use to communicate, it defines us as species. It's the molecule of drive, of motivation, of pursuit, of learning, of curiosity. We even need it, our brain needs to create it to make us physically move. Dopamine, scientists say that human beings are dopamine-driven species. So we seem to have more dopamine than any other animal or a plant. Some plants, or maybe all of them actually, not sure about that one, have dopamine because it's so crucial for movement. So in the animal kingdom, our brains have this molecule. And again, scientists say that we are the most curious, inventive, and pursuit-driven, goal-driven creatures on this planet, probably because of the amount of dopamine our brain produces, or supposed to produce. Because when we have lifestyle that is not optimized, that is not suited for our physiology, then dopamine levels drop and you start feeling less optimistic, less bold, less curious, less exploring, getting out there, innovating, putting yourself in the situation of challenges to create new things, and again, to innovate, to build something. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, I would argue dopamine is your favorite molecule. It's the molecule that defines you as an entrepreneur. And so when you start doing things that make your dopamine production less optimal, like, for example, skipping or trying to skip good sleep and cutting your sleep hours, and then don't be surprised that all of a sudden your drive to pursue, your confidence, your boldness, your curiosity, your inventiveness, they go down. That molecule it defines entrepreneurship. It defines pursuit of higher, bolder visions and goals. And it gives you confidence again and curiosity, and it drives peak performance. Like everything that you are as an entrepreneur depends on that molecule. So again, I could have given this podcast also a subtitle, Dopamine Optimization, because all the lifestyle choices that we're going to talk about today, they will optimize your dopamine balance that will help you to feel confident and strong, empowered, curious, inventive, and confident, but at the same time open to learning. Dopamine, I'm such a fan of this molecule. And again, I believe that any entrepreneur, any change maker, any leader should be as well. But the thing is, in order to optimize it and have it balanced optimal levels of that molecule, you need to take care of yourself, of your lifestyle. And that's where that mind, brain, body connection comes into play. The lifestyle choices that you make, they create different brain chemistry, and that creates different thought and emotional patterns that ultimately define your life's journey and the quality of your startup or the work that you do. So let's get into practices. First, your dopamine is so dependent on the quality of your sleep. When you cut your sleep short, your dopamine levels are going to be lower the next day. So you are going to be feeling less bold, less driven to pursue things. You're going to have more doubts. You're going to have less tendency to get out there and get things done, but instead you might feel like staying in, interacting less with the world. Dopamine, by the way, also is sensitive to different easy rewarding behaviors, like, for example, scrolling social media or watching a lot of TV or eating highly processed foods. And it seems that the more you produce dopamine in response to those easy activities, the less of that dopamine you produce when doing hard work or attempting to do challenging stuff. And so if you want to also optimize your dopamine levels, you're going to be really careful about those easy rewards and easy satisfaction activities, like, again, scrolling social media or engaging in any other activities that give you easy rewards without any hard work. So that's just a side note why, for example, spending a lot of time on social media or eating a lot of processed, highly rewarding foods might also be detrimental to your drive as an entrepreneur to go and pursue and work on hard things. But then back to sleep. So sleep. Bad quality of sleep, no regular sleep schedule, which is also correlated with another practice that we're going to cover in a minute that affects your dopamine levels. Cutting your sleep short, not again having great quality of sleep, all of that gonna compromise your dopamine levels, and that's gonna make you feel less bold, less like pursuing harder challenges, working on harder things. You're going to feel less rewarded after accomplishing certain things or working on certain things. You're going to feel less enthusiastic, less confident, more into anxious and depressive blue kind of moods. So all of that you can experience when you shortcut your sleep. And one of the reasons why you experience that is your brain chemistry gets unoptimized, and your neurotransmitters like dopamine, not just dopamine, a lot of other molecules in your brain and in your body, they gonna be working in a different way, not optimal for our human psychology, physiology, our moods, and our drive to pursue greater things. Like, so sleep. Regular schedule is very important. Sleep scientists say that not having regular sleep schedule is like giving your jet lag giving yourself jet lag every single day or every other day whenever you switch your sleep schedule by a couple of hours plus or minus. So it's kind of like giving yourself jet lag, and they call it social jet lag, but it's not just social. If your sleep schedule because of your work is all over the place, plus minus 2 hours is already considered to be that red zone, or that's jet lag zone, when your sleep quality is not going to be optimal, and then the next day all of the brain chemistry is not going to be optimal as well, and that's going to affect your mood, your drive to pursue things, your energy levels, your ability to pay attention and stay focused on the important work that you do, the amount of great ideas and decisions that you create, you make, all of that is going to be affected. So having a regular sleep schedule is very important, and also not making your sleep quality worse by different substances, drinking caffeine too late in the day, later than 8 to 10 hours before bedtime, having alcohol later in the day, eating too late, especially stuff that makes your blood sugar go up and down, stuff with a lot of sugar or just processed stuff that your body doesn't react well to. So all of that, sleep is quite complex, and a lot of people have troubles with sleep because of all the behaviors that people do during the day. One of which is improper light exposure. And by that we mean not getting light exposure in the morning closer to sunrise or as early as you wake up, but the time that is around sunrise, that sunlight in the morning, it is different than the sunlight that we get during the day. And in order to get your brain working the right way, light exposure in the morning is crucial. Andrew Huberman, this neuroscientist from Stanford, talks a lot about that, how morning light exposure and not exposing yourself to artificial bright light at night, two crucial behaviors important for many things, among which is dopamine optimization. So the research that Andrew Huberman talks a lot about is exposing yourself to bright light, sunlight specifically, in the morning. That means getting outside, getting that sunlight into your eyes without sunglasses for 10 to 15 minutes if it's bright, if it's super bright, even less going to be enough, and then 20 to 30 minutes if it's gloomy, if it's dark, if it's overcast. And then at night, not viewing that artificial bright light that, among other things, it kills your melatonin that actually helps you to fall asleep, and then you're going to struggle with sleep. That's going to affect your dopamine levels. But then also it has a direct effect on the dopamine levels. So in order for you to maintain the high levels of that, again, crucial for entrepreneurs, change makers, leaders, in order for you to maintain great levels of dopamine, it's a little bit of a geeky, talk, speaking of neuroscience here, but what you want to understand that improper light exposure also going to change your brain chemistry, not in a good way. So if you're feeling next day after staying up late, exposing yourself to bright light from your devices in your room or going out, and the next day you wake up and you're not feeling that driven, goal-oriented and in pursuit and optimistic about the work ahead, and also having troubles focusing, that just tells you that your dopamine levels, again, were compromised by improper light exposure. And yes, light exposure later at night during this, when you're supposed to be sleeping, during those hours, when you view bright light, that will negatively affect your dopamine levels, but also melatonin that helps you to sleep. And this whole thing or orchestra of things will make your next day not as productive, not as driven, not as optimistic, not as focused. And you're just not going to be your best. It's going to be very hard to be at the state of your optimal performance. Also, back to morning light exposure, it is very essential. Also, if you've been struggling with mental health, with your emotional regulation, with anxiety, all of this less positive and less desired mental emotional states, you need to get on track with your morning light exposure. Having said that, now it's winter time in many countries in the Northern Hemisphere, and I grew up in Siberia, and so I know what it feels like, what it means when you don't get enough of sunlight during those winter months. But there is a hack that is not as good as sunlight, but still can help you to improve your mental state, your emotional state. And it is getting one of those circadian lamps with 10,000 LUX or lux intensity, which will help you to improve your dopamine levels, with which you're going to improve your focus, your attention, your ability to work hard, your ability to stay productive, learn, memorize, make bad decisions, and just feel goal-driven, optimistic, and like getting after challenging and hard work. So get that lamp. If you absolutely cannot get that light exposure, that is going to be the next best thing. But, and especially if you are going through a difficult period and your mental health, your emotional stability really might use a boost, then I would suggest prioritizing that morning light exposure and doing it as regularly as possible. Andrew Huberman always recommends to do it at least 80% of the time. That means at least 5 days a week. In the morning, you gotta get out there and get that light exposure. So proper sleep hygiene, proper sleep practice and schedule, along with proper light exposure that consists of morning light exposure and managing your artificial bright light at night, those core lifestyle routines and habits will change a lot about how you feel every single day, mentally, emotionally, productivity-wise, focus-wise. So before you do anything else, those are 2 practices, 2 habits that you absolutely need to take care of. Now, let's switch gears into exercise and physical activity. Folks, how you move, the amount of movement you do, when you move, it changes your brain in very profound ways. Not only it will improve and increase and boost your dopamine production along with other molecules like adrenaline, proper cortisol pulse during the day, endorphins, exercise. All of my clients always tell me that after exercise, they feel empowered, strong, driven, productive. And that's because exercise and movement changes brain chemistry, brain-body chemistry. All the molecules that circulate in your brain, in your gut, in your body, your blood sugar regulation, your inflammatory responses. Exercise, it makes your cells more robust, more effective at producing energy. Like, yes, when you exercise, you actually create more energy producing plants in your cells. And your cell, when you do nothing in your brain, in your body, produce more energy, which makes you a more high energy person, more high energy leader. It's going to create a more empowered version of you. So exercise. Plus, it delivers oxygen and nutrients and vitamins and minerals to your brain that also makes your brain perform at its peak capacity or as close to it as possible. And when it comes to exercise, I always recommend to get it early. Number 1, because where do you need to feel your best? Probably starting right first thing in the morning to attack the day, to get the most important things going and done. And so exercise will help you to jumpstart the process, will optimize all these brain molecules, will help you to focus, to stay productive, to have the drive and optimism and boldness, right? So get exercise early, perhaps some cardio activity, some weight training, They doesn't have to be long, 15, 20 minutes. Go for a walk, also get that light exposure at the same time. Don't overdo it. That also an important factor, because some folks, especially guys, tend to overdo it, and then it's like all the blood flow goes to your muscles and very little is left to your brain. So don't overdo it. Start moving, but if you have a full day of activities, work related and other in front of you, then just don't overdo it so your brain isn't feeling fatigued and tired instead, right? An important factor as well, adding exercise throughout your day, not just exercising once a day and then sitting at your desk for 8 to 10 hours non-stop most of the time, but also introducing exercise snacks. There is a great article in Washington Post, in New York Times about that. Exercise snacks are basically bouts of activities that you do intermittently throughout your day, usually every 30, 40 minutes, a couple of minutes of activity. In the articles, Washington Post, New York Times, they say 2 minutes getting from your chair, sitting back down, like 15 squats, chair squats, will do the trick. You improve blood circulation, oxygenation of your brain, of all of your tissues. You change your brain, again, body chemistry, your refresh every system in your body. You improve your blood circulations, all of which will again contribute to better performance, better mood, better dopamine levels, and also you'll just feel more alive, energized, and you get boost of or sprinkles of new creative ideas. And especially if you feel stuck, like you've been working on something and then you feel stuck, it's just not flowing, go and move. It's going to also engage different neural circuits in your brain. The way you move going to change the way you think, and that will help you to get unstuck and create also better quality of work. Exercise, very important. And again, start it early with some exercise, not too much, combine it with that light exposure, and continue it throughout the day. Exercise snacks. I always recommend that to my clients, especially clients who need to work with their brain a lot and keeping their brain at its peak capacity. So introducing exercise snacks is very important. Again, blood circulation, oxygenation, and proper dopamine balance and overall brain chemistry. Next one is breath work. And that is for a lot of people a new guy on the block, new practice that I introduced to daily routines and daily flow to a lot of my clients. A lot of my clients at first think that it's a little bit maybe woo-woo, or it's going to take a lot of time, like you have to do special things. Whereas breathwork actually at its core and the foundational practices are very simple. Like, for example, either physiological sigh, double inhale. By the way, the link to a 90-second video done by Andrew Huberman himself, who introduced this breath work into our toolkit. So the video is linked in the show notes, but physiological sigh, double inhale. A long exhale will help you to switch your nervous system quite fast. 2-3 cycles of breath. One cycle means breathe in, breathe out. 2-3 cycles of physiological sigh, again, the link is in the show notes, will switch your nervous system to rest, digest, calm, and focused from fight or flight, stressed, and, short-term decisions, just get it done, knee-jerk reactions, fewer options, worse creativity. So flight or flight, specifically the one that a lot of people experience at work, will make your brain work worse, will decrease or completely eliminate your learning abilities, will diminish your creativity by a lot, and just affect your overall health and energy state. not in a positive way, right? And that's why introducing breath work throughout your day, not like just in the morning, perhaps with your meditation, good if you do that, but also introducing that throughout your day when you experience different challenges, when you experience different stressors, so perhaps communicating, working with other people, or communicating and working with customers, right? There are different challenges and stresses throughout the day, but the more you are able to stay in that rest, digest, calm, focused state, A, the better decisions you're going to make, B, the wider perspective, more long-term perspective you're going to have on any interaction. And again, better decisions you're going to make overall for you, for your company, for your team. And then also you're going to be saving energy and experience much less fatigue simply because fight or flight state will ramp up all of your energy systems to meet imaginary, because very often we are not chased by lions, demand for to fight off the stressor, the danger, to make you flee the scene of danger, right? So basic idea that you want to understand here, when you are more in that stressed state throughout the day and you never unload it with breath work, like physiological side that is linked in the show notes, or just exhale, focus breathing, when you breathe out twice as long or longer instead of, breathing more in a more shallow manner. So when you don't unload your stress, you are always running on a lot more energy, and you make your cells waste a lot more of your personal energy. And that's why you end up more fatigued than you could have, not having enough resources then to invest quality, perhaps into your learning or your relationships, or perhaps doing additional work when needed. So unloading your stress and lowering your stress levels and switching your nervous system into parasympathetic mode stress, which is rest, digest, and calm and focus. Switching your nervous system into that state with breath work done throughout the day. I usually recommend, again, to all of my clients to do it when they're having a break, when they feel like there is too much tension and they start feeling overwhelmed and they feel like, all constrained and constricted, and you almost can feel it, mental and emotional pressure. So do a few cycles, 2-3 cycles of this physiological side, which is very fast. And all of a sudden, I also recommend leaning back in your chair, like putting your hands behind your head and just opening up your chest, and then doing a couple of breath work cycles, and then perhaps also closing your eyes for these moments. And that will really release that pressure and tension, and then allow you to be more relaxed, make better decisions, be more creative, and see a bigger picture, bigger perspective that usually allows you to do much better work and create more win-win situations in every interactions, whether that's with your customers, your possible partners, or your team. Breath work. And then on nutrition side, so we covered so far sleep, we covered light, we covered exercise, we covered breath work. And then on the nutrition side, today I'm not going to go into all the details of brain nutrition. With my clients, I do that, especially when people struggle with focus, with HDHD, with brain fog, with mental cognitive fatigue. So I go into details of brain nutrition. But as a foundation, here are a few things that I notice a lot of people don't do well enough. And because of that, you again might be struggling with things like having troubles paying attention and staying focused, having brain fog and feeling like you're in that, cloud, and very hard for you to think clearly, and putting together perhaps good proposals or offers or a strategic plan for your team to implement. Perhaps you do some writing. For that, you need very clear, well-working, focused mind. And also you need energized and more optimistic, emotionally balanced mind. So in order for you to have that, you actually need to feed your brain the nutrients that it needs. And nutrient number one is water. So start your day with half a liter of water, a couple of big glasses, and then have a glass before each meal. That's an easy way to get all the liquids and water that you need. So drink that water. Also, tea is hydrating, eating a lot of fruit and vegetables and soup. Obviously, a lot of those things that contain a lot of water, like also leafy greens that are 90% or so water, especially things like lettuces. All of that adds to your hydration, but specifically start your day with water and drink water before each of your meals. That will help you to jumpstart the process of hydration. And even 2% dehydration will already start diminish your mental and physical performance, even though you're not always going to make the connection that, my brain is kind of like, it's hard for me to concentrate. Well, are you well hydrated? Most people, from my experience, are not paying enough attention to water. Protein. Your dopamine, that favorite molecule that we started talking about, is made of protein, specific amino acid L-tyrosine, that is predominantly, more abundantly found in animal-based foods. And you need to eat optimal amount of protein. So your brain, not just your muscles and all of the other cells so your brain has enough protein to create enough dopamine, plenty of dopamine. So you're driven, optimistic, creative, inspired, bold, and focused. That's what dopamine does. And dopamine is made from protein. So for your breakfast, no less, guys, than 30 grams of protein. I recommend go to 50 because your brain, you are an entrepreneur, you are a leader, you are a change maker. Your brain needs plenty of dopamine, and that needs plenty of protein. So go for 40 and 50 grams. Now I know it sounds hard, especially for female leaders who might not get into protein till later in the day. But that, brain fog, not having necessarily your best focus time, might be because you just don't eat enough protein and you go for oatmeal. Nothing wrong with oatmeal, but one thing is wrong with it. It doesn't have that much protein. Maybe a couple of grams. I haven't looked into it, but oatmeal has carbs, not protein. So protein, eggs, also, if you're having 2 eggs, not enough. Those 1 egg is just 6 grams of protein, and you need to shoot for at least 30. But as an adult, I do recommend you to get 40 and 50. Mornings, for most leaders, for a lot of leaders, very productive parts of their day. And hey guys, if you're a little bit later person and you wake up later and you're not a morning person, well, you're still going to have breakfast at some point. You're going to have first meal of the day. So whenever that first meal is, but especially if you're struggling with focus and productivity already, get that protein in and early. 40, 50 grams, especially if you're a guy, go for 40 and 50. I eat 70. Protein, what is rich in that tyrosine that makes your dopamine? Animal-based protein, chicken breast especially is super high in that. But then we also have turkey, and you get fish, and you get any sorts of meat. If you go for eggs, have your eggs, but then also get some protein shake, so you get additional 20-30 grams of protein. Whey is the best when it comes to L-tyrosine, that molecule that creates your dopamine. So have a lot of protein. That's another practice that is neglected by many people, leaders, entrepreneurs that I worked with. We always need to start working on their protein-rich breakfast. Then next one is taking your multivitamin, also magnesium and calcium and your omega-3s, all needed to optimize the production of your dopamine, but also to make your brain work right and create all the molecules that your brain needs, also to maintain regular blood sugar. And your brain is very much dependent on proper blood sugar in your brain and in your body. To make your neurons communicate better. You need those minerals like magnesium and calcium. Yes, first thing in the morning when you need to be your most productive self. So getting those nutrients with that first meal of the day, taking your multivitamin, taking your magnesium and calcium that are needed to create brain chemistry, the communication between your neural cells to make your brain work fast and effectively, efficiently. You need those electrolytic or electrolytes in your brain, making the neurons fire, creating that electricity, which is translated into great ideas, decisions, and fast focused thinking, right? All that to say, get your multivitamin. If you need advice, then reach out Angela at brainbreakthroughcoach.com or via Instagram DMs, Angela Brain Body Coach, one word, Angela Brain Body Coach on Instagram. So reach out to me. I'll give you the brain performance one-on-one multivitamin, multi-mineral, basically supplement stack. I'll also help you to choose it at Amazon store or perhaps pharmacy where you shop, or some whole food store, or any of your supplement supplier. All right, so reach out. I'll get you hooked, your brain hooked, so it's as effective as you need it to be. And on the nutrition side, last but not least, obviously eat a lot of fruit and vegetables because they contain a lot of antioxidants that and other compounds that your brain needs to protect itself from its rich electrical activity, making it working effectively and without interruptions, right? So eat your fruit and vegetables, also help you to maintain regular blood sugar and healthy gut that also influences your brain, your mindset, your emotions. Besides that, eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, try to eliminate or minimize fried and white stuff. By fried stuff, I mean anything that is fried with oils at high temperatures. Not great idea for your brain, just because it creates more pro-inflammatory compounds, and your brain is very sensitive, as your dopamine levels as well, to inflammation in your body and brain can contribute to things like brain fog and lack of focus, among other things. White stuff. By that we mean all kinds of pastries, but also processed sugars and too much sugars, even honey. If you eat too much honey in your smoothies and fruit juices, all of that also processed sugars, refined sugars, which you want to either eliminate completely or you want to regulate them really well. Why is that? Well, because improper blood sugar regulation will make your brain go through the peaks and valleys of activity. After getting that sugar fix, you're going to feel high, sometimes even too high to get anything done. And after a period of time, your blood sugar going to crash. And with that, you're going to feel lethargic, brain fog, unfocused, demotivated, not that happy. All of that can happen when your blood sugar goes up and down rapidly. And all of that happens usually when you eat a lot of stuff with white flour, added sugars, processed carbs, all the processed foods like your croissants or some pastries for breakfast, mixed with some sugary drink, like all of this coffee and tea drinks, frappuccinos, mochas have it. So not great idea for optimized brain performance. So drink your water, eat your protein, get your supplements in, eat your fruit and veg. That's what your brain needs. If you have any questions or would like to chat and optimize your brain nutrition, your dopamine production, along with other lifestyle factors necessary for happy, healthy, productive brain and happy, healthy, productive, driven, and bold and mentally sharp you, there's a link in the show notes to your complimentary session with me where we're gonna go through all of the lifestyle choices you make to dial in all of the things needed to make your brain do its magic and make you feel and do your best every day. So use the link in the show notes, schedule our session, or share it with the person who would absolutely love to learn how to optimize their brain performance through lifestyle and brain nutrition. So that's that. Also, don't forget there is a link to physiological sigh in the show notes. Use breathwork to lower your stress throughout the day so you fatigue less and make much better decisions and just overall feel better, relaxed, chill. Don't we all feel that? Sometimes you don't need psilocybin or microdosing. You just need to freaking breathe. Right, so check out that link as well, that breathwork done by famous neuroscientist Andrew Huberman. If you don't know him, you're probably living under the rock because he has #1 on Apple Podcasts, which is kind of cool because it is a science podcast. That is me doing my geeky talk. All that to say, optimize your brain chemistry because that's going to define how you feel, how you think, make decisions, and act during the day, all of which will create a certain life trajectory and trajectory of your business as well. Because you're the leader, how you do is how your business usually does. That's it for today, folks. Have an awesome Friday and a weekend. Connect if you have any questions. If you'd like to schedule your session, use the link in the show notes. Please do share this podcast, rate, review on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find your podcast. Share it, tag me, and have an awesome Friday. Have an optimized weekend and keep pushing, keep rolling the ball upward, creating a better world for all of us. Thank you for your attention and have an awesome day ahead, and we'll talk very soon.